If you enjoy watching Common Ground online, please consider making a tax-deductible contribution at lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Rachel Johnson. As you know, Common Ground brings viewers inside the stories that make up North Central Minnesota's culture. We scour the region for the history and local artists who enrich our unique communities. In this week's episode of Common Ground, Kristine Kobernic of Save Our Souls Equine Rescue in Bemidji converts rescued horses into certified service and therapy horses. We follow Kobernic on her mission to provide equine acquaintances to everyone from autistic children to disabled veterans.
Save Our Souls Equine Rescue was started in 2003 by Alen Schreff, but then I gained directorship of it in 2009. The organization started out as an all-horse rescue, everything from miniatures to draft horses. But once it moved here, due to the smaller property and smaller location and the special needs of miniature horses, we decided to go with mostly miniature horses. If we do take a horse, it's pony-sized, like the bay back there. She actually stands 52 inches, so she's a pony more so than a mini. But we work really hard to keep the environment as comfortable and natural as we could by allowing them outdoor run at all times. Their shelter is a completely windproof, waterproof shelter, which is mandatory in the state of Minnesota. We have created for them a nice clean water area and basically as much natural environment as we could while removing any and all actual green pasture, because we've had so many that we've seen founder. Actually, right now, this is the first time ever we have no foundered miniature horses here. None. Daily, I check the big tank and make sure that it's still clean. If it's not clean, we actually dump the big tank and wash it out. It takes myself and my kids to do that. We then refill it, make sure it stays clean. During the winter, we make sure it's not iced. The smaller tanks for the chickens that are here and for the other miniature horses that are in their stalls are changed 3 times a day. Bedding in the stalls is changed once a day. The outside pastures are raked once a day, completely, totally raked out. Barns are raked out, so everything stays clean and uniform. Hay is actually measured out here. We actually know how much we're feeding each of the different pens. We know how much everybody needs as per the veterinarian, and carefully feed a diet that keeps them at weight as opposed to being severely obese, which is a constant pony issue. Like any animal, it's quite a bit of work, but horses are actually livestock. Livestock do tend to take significantly more work than a cat or a dog. There's a lot of cleaning, measuring of feed, figuring out what they need, vet care, monitoring. Chino, for instance, colicked yesterday. It's a disease horses get when their stomachs don't quite handle the food they're eating. That's also common in miniature horses, it just pops up. It's a lot of monitoring, keeping track of diets, keeping track of cleanliness, training. I spend, I would say, at least 40 hours a week, if not more, working on just training them. Save Our Souls as an organization prides itself in the ability to take rescue horses, turn them around where possible. We have had horses where you really can't. Train them so that they actually have a use. Our adoption rate is actually 98% successful because every horse leaves here trained. Those horses with the right personalities are all used for therapy and service, because therapy and service horses tend to never return to rescues due to just the sheer value of them. In fact, having Chino appraised, he went from a free rescue horse to his appraisal price at the moment is $15,000. And that's just training. So he's now insured. Image went down to Pine City a couple months ago and met the veteran that he'll be working with. We are still working on the changeover so that he can adapt and learn to work with Image. Image still has some glitches that need to be worked out. Due to age, that potty training has kind of consistently not been 100% guaranteed. We're still working on 100%. And there is still a bit of a mare issue. A bit, not as bad as it was. He still has about 3 to 4 months of work left on him, give or take. We are having a couple of glitches. I think part of that is due to him being the oldest of the service horses I've tried to train. But those have consisted of potty training and some slight issues with mares. Most of the rest of what he does is done consistently and done correctly. In fact, the last big issue we had would have been about fall, I would say almost August. He did try to get across the road to sneak some grass, but he was nice enough to stop me at the roadway before getting in trouble and let me know that I needed to check for cars. And then he took off across the road. So even when he's misbehaving, he's still making sure that I'm pretty safe.
My name is Jeff Allen. I am a farrier and the vice president on SOZR, Equine Rescue and Therapy. SOZR is an acronym for Save Our Souls Equine Rescue, and therapy has been tacked on to that as a result of some of the horses that have been rescued have had amazing capacity to be involved in therapy. Chino is one of the, I guess he's pretty much the mascot of SOZR. He's been all over the place in the Bemidji area. He's gone to birthday parties dressed up as Rainbow Flash. He's dressed up as a prince. He's gone to a bookstore to just visit with people. He and his little brother Mocha have been all just doing a circuit and are overbooked pretty much. I was living up in Bemidji going to school when SOZR was just getting started as an idea. Kristine had already been doing some rescue, trying to rehabilitate horses, trying to educate people on what it takes to take care of horses, what they don't really understand, that they need to understand when it comes to taking horses. So I ended up becoming friends with Kristine. After I moved back down to the Minneapolis area, SOZR ended up getting 501c3 status, ended up getting some momentum, and Kristine needed board members, needed people involved who were horse professionals, needed just more assistance in general in getting this big project going. So I ended up signing on because I believed that, and still believe that, some amazing things can happen as a result of SOZR's efforts. My involvement with Image has been, I have been responsible for taking care of his feet and providing assistance to Kristine when I can in taking care of the rescue, taking care of the horses, and just some of the involvement with the horses dealing with people. I don't really know where the idea of service horses began. It always has kind of seemed like a crazy idea to me, but when you've got a miniature horse about the same size as a dog, I mean, they do have that kind of loyalty and they've got a herd mentality. So I think it was just a logical step that ended up being taken because horses are pretty well suited to it. For one, they are a good companion animal. They're someone who, if somebody wants to live independently, they at least have an animal there as a companion. They're looking at using them in the same ways that they're using a seeing eye dog, as that kind of guiding around. They can definitely be aware of dangerous situations and alert the owner. One of the things that Image is being trained to do is that he actually is being trained to assist if his owner falls down. That's actually created a bit of a problem for me with the trimming because he's so short. I end up working on him on my knees, nipping the feet, and so when I'm down trimming his feet, if I drop down to my knees, he ends up trying to turn around in order to help me back up. So I've had to learn to crouch, stay on my feet, and just reassure him, it's okay, I don't need your help getting back up. Well, with a horse that you want to use for therapy, first thing you want to look for is a temperament where they are not frightened of much. And horses are going to have fears, but horses that spook at every little thing or have dangerous responses are definitely disqualified. You want a horse that when they see something that startles them, they stop in their tracks and start asking questions with their faces. They look to you and say, "Is this okay? Are we safe?" You also want a horse that is intelligent. There's a large difference between horses as far as intelligence, and you can screen them to see which ones have the ability to learn, have the ability to communicate, have the desire to learn and to grow into a role. So that type of intelligence is something that definitely needs to be looked for. We're learning more and more the impact that therapy horses can have. I've personally experienced an autistic kid who barely was able to engage when he was at school in spite of the best efforts of gifted aides and gifted teachers. But as soon as he got around a singular horse in someone's backyard, his eyes lit up and he was more animated than anyone had seen him in an entire year of kindergarten. So I think as we discover more and more the role that these horses can play as far as therapy, and as we explore more how they can be used as service, people are going to realize the value of it, and the demand is going to rise as people want to be using horses for therapy and service. I think beyond just little niche communities or little niche environments, there's going to be the opportunity for a broad spectrum growth as far as the service horses and therapy horses, and there's going to be a need of people who are able to train them and get them ready for those roles.
Today, we have stopped at Gene Marshal's, who will be Image's partner later on. We are here not so much to teach them to work together, but to see if they're compatible for working together, which has proven pretty compatible. I am also here to assess the farm itself, the issues that Image will have to deal with. We're going to go into the town and take a look at basic general stuff he'll have to deal with. This is helping me to assess what training is specific to Gene. It is also helping me assess what size equipment Gene is going to need and where it's going to need to be set so that he can move comfortably. After going through all of the training and the learning to train, Image is going to be the first service horse that we release in Minnesota. I have three at home actually currently that have the same training, but they were never meant to be released. They were basically experiments. Image has gone past the experiment point with how much they want him here and the ideal setting for him. With that in mind, he is going to be the first one that Saucer does, and I do believe there is not one in Minnesota, so I do believe he is the first in Minnesota. I'm not sure the year that it started, but in 1999, the Guide Horse Foundation released information that they were trying to create guide horses for people who are blind. They work specifically with people who are blind. They have mentioned that ambulatory issues are something they can work with. They don't work with people who are deaf, and I think part of that's voice commands. I have trained what I would call ASL horses for people that want riding horses but are completely deaf and can't talk. Because I actually do have slight hearing issues, I do understand the difference, and because some of my hearing issues are liable to get worse, I've been training my personal horses for years to ride completely with no voice signals, and it's on purpose. So I guess the first ASL horse that I had go out would have been 2007. With that in mind, that lady has actually never had an issue. Ambulatory issue horses, we've had 3 of them actually go out. They basically are equivalent to your everyday carriage horse, with the exception of they spend a year training not to spook. They can be driven by anyone. Now, by 2009, I was looking at the stuff that I was already doing in advance of knowing about the Guide Horse Foundation, and then started to look into the stuff that they were doing as well, bought all their books, I basically studied what they're doing. I have tried contacting them. I'm hoping sometime soon they contact me back. I'd love to actually go down there in person, to be honest, with Image. But essentially, I started taking their training with the training that I had at the Oklahoma Horseshoeing School, the training that I continued doing afterwards with different people like Clint Anderson, John Lyons, Pony Boy. It's a native name followed by Pony Boy. Taking those classes while training horses pretty regularly, pretty much full time, for either driving or dressage and just the basic training. And we just basically continued that way, and I started putting them all together for Image as the first horse. We started him about 3 months ago. If you're in the horse world, he's what, if you were training a 30-day horse, you'd call Greenbrook. He has most of the basics that I want him to do. He needs consistency. He is down here to meet the family. I am down here to make sure that my picture of the environment fits what I need to train, because most of his time is going to be spent guiding around the farm. With that in mind, that means it's going to be easier if I see the whole farm and I have an idea of obstacles that I might have missed training him. Marshal will be getting Image. Image is here to help him with hearing impairment, sight impairment, and balance impairment. He does have vertigo as well, so falls. A lot of it's trainable, but it takes work and consideration, a lot of thinking it through, researching not only the training methods that I learned in Oklahoma, but also other people's training methods and a lot of the military training methods for their horses. I spend a lot of time researching and have bought all the Guide Horse Foundation books just to cover everything, because they actually started the idea of guide horses. It's research, putting together what I've known about training for years as a trainer, and blending it all together to cover a very quiet, sound horse that will recognize tons of different things, tons of different dangers, places, not even dangerous stuff, just walking up to something like a curb. He is trained to stop at the curb, alert him to, okay, there's going to be a difference here, so that Gene knows he should step down or up, and alert him to pretty much any danger. He is very well trained to spook in place. Once he spooks in place, he will usually turn his head and just stop you right where you're at. A regular horse, when they spook, their automatic reaction as a prey animal is to take off at a dead run for 1/4 of a mile. And it literally is 1/4 of a mile. If you actually clock them in the wild, they will take off for 1/4 of a mile, stop, turn around, and make sure whatever is trying to hurt them isn't still following them. Where a spook in place, something has genuinely scared Image, so his natural reaction to run is being trained out of him. Instead of running, he is going to stop where he's at, and he looks to his owner, who is effectively your head mare, checks what they're doing, and once he knows that everything is okay, everything is okay. Right now, he's basically just leading. Image is actually allowing Gene to lead somewhat, but paying attention to him too. They're actually doing the start of working together, and that's without any actually teaching Gene how. That's actually pretty impressive. We are working on training him that there are points where it's his discretion. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is, just turn him away and walk. Not trot, not run, walk, just walk away.
My name is Gene Marshal. I was in the U.S. Army, and I was on the 105 Housers. Over here and overseas, I was driver for the first lieutenant and getting Image for service animal. With Image, me and him can go outside and do chores, monkey around, get the mail. Even just getting the mail would be helpful with Image, as long as I'm outside doing things.
Without Image as a companion and an aid to him, Gene's life would be confined to the house and to a sedentary existence because he can't hear. He would be in a box. It'd be really scary. He's an outside person. He worked outside his whole life, and being outdoors is what he loves. I don't really want to think about what it would be like if he couldn't get outdoors. Losing your sight is a very difficult thing, and it's very personal. It's a hard thing to happen, and to have someone step in and extend a hand to you to make your life better in that situation is really awesome. We need to treat people with any disability, regardless if it's sight or hearing or missing limbs or damaged limbs. We need to not treat them like they're an oddity, but that they're ordinary people trying to do their best to get through today. I know having Image with Gene is going to draw attention because a miniature horse is cute and cuddly and people are going to want to be all over him, but when he's working, he's working. And people need to realize you need to maintain a distance and let Gene and Image do what they need to do and try not to interfere or to make them a spectacle.
Yes, I think it's very important that they know that there's other animals besides dogs that can be of service to the people. And horses are a beautiful animal. They're awful smart too. So I'm sure that the people would benefit from seeing or watching how they work.
Image's future will be one of having somebody to work with every day. And then when he's not being worked with, he will actually go out and have pasture time and just be able to hang out and be a normal horse. So he kind of has a dual life where he gets to work with his best friend part of the day, and the rest of the day he will go out and just run around and hang out like a horse. This is the ground of Save Our Souls Equine Rescue. This is kind of where everything starts, from the therapy that you see us do in town to the service horses. We start here with rescue horses that come in from various parts of the state for various reasons and various needs. Some are neglect-based, some are just owner surrender because the owner wasn't sure what to do with them anymore. Most of the farm work is actually done by myself and my children. By choice, the kids actually love giving a hand. It's also helping teach them basic farming, basic heritage, basically. I grew up farming. I want them to do at least some small part of farming. One of the things farming teaches is work ethic, responsibility, and actually compassion. When you're working with livestock, you need to understand how to take care of each of your livestock. We have more than just the horses here. The kids actually have chickens. There's a goat. We do also plant. Basically, this is teaching them some of history. It gets them off video games for an hour a day where they have to come out and just work. And this work for the future will help them get better jobs, a more stable environment. If they choose to farm, they'll have an idea of how, because pretty much all farming is still handed down generation to generation.
Working with the horses, whether you're cleaning up after them or training them or just playing with them, it's a lot of fun because you get connected to the horses, and sometimes
Wow.
That's not much of a Y or V or X or whatever you want to call it.
We have some big flocks.
Yeah. The best thing I like about working with the horses is just, it's fun. You get, like I was saying before, you get to connect with them, and it's kind of like With some people, it's the dogs that make them happy. It's just kind of horses with us. They're just really awesome pets too.
Northern Minnesota has always had a good-sized horse culture, and in recent years there have been more issues with the horse market, which started to crash in about 2007 and has continued to decline since. With those declines, the horse rescues that used to be a horse rescue, they could take horses that for whatever reason had been abused and neglected, and they could buy from auction horses that might go to slaughter. Instead, what they could do is they could pick those horses up, they could treat them, and they could sell them for the amount that would cover the bills with about $500 to $600 extra. And with that in mind, it's good to have a horse rescue in order to save an American and worldwide icon, but to also give them a chance to not end up places that, for lack of a better word, are not the best fit.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Common Ground. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
If you have a segment idea for Common Ground pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org or call us at 218-333-3022. If you enjoyed this episode of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org.